Another team that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get into this debate here because we've debated about this particular player for maybe about 3 years now. The Jazz are on a 7-game win streak. I don't know. I feel like I'm at a point right now with Utah where I'm not going to believe it till I see it. They went on a win streak last season. That was pretty lengthy. I think they had the longest win streak last season out of any team, maybe. I think
18? So. It was something crazy like that, 18.
It was a crazy win streak. And one thing I want to say is just random thought. I think Donovan Mitchell needs to be in the MVP conversation. You know, for him to be on a team like Utah this year and last to where they are an elite team out in the Western Conference, and he's the best guy on that elite team in the West, I think he deserves a look for sure. You know, I feel like last year he should have been it. He was 26 a game last season. This year he's down like 24, but he's efficient. And Utah's once again a really good squad. So just throwing that in there, I think Mitchell needs to be in that conversation for MVP. But I mean, are your guys' feelings about Utah any different than last season? There are some additions. You know, Rudy Gay's been a great piece off there. You can argue their bench has gotten slightly better, you know, and you can't, that's something kind of crazy to say considering how great their bench was last year. But you've got Rudy Gay who's averaging basically 10 a game off the bench on efficient shooting. There's also Hassan Whiteside who's been great rebounding and kind of being, pick and rolling and being a solid enough defender. Are you guys feeling, given those things, are you guys feeling any different about Utah than opposing season, other than the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, no, because I actually
seen the same thing the past. On my background, we've seen the same thing the past like 2 or 3 seasons. So once they get to I'll make a sound judgment once they get to the playoffs and start playing, and then we'll see.
Yeah, no, trust me, bro. It's gonna be the same thing because I think their chance for it was last season. That's when I was actually starting to believe just the way they was playing. But the thing is, if you're not Golden State, just shooting threes all day not gonna help you. Golden State is the only organization I've ever seen just beat people with threes. Because if you're not, you don't have Klay Thompson and Steph, so you're not gonna keep making them threes at that clip. It's been proven. Those only 2 dudes that can do it on that team. So I feel like that's their problem.
See what happened to Houston when they tried it.
That's what I'm saying.
27 straight miss, right?
That was bad. Common sense would tell you I keep missing.
I still don't understand that, dude.
That was
exactly what Carl said. Common sense.
Yeah.
Common sense.
Yeah. No, that's one critic. I'm surprised. There's another thing I want to jump to with Utah that I'm surprised y'all didn't get to it yet. But Carl, you did kind of get me to the idea that Utah offensively, while they look like an efficient offensive team, there are times where they fall too much into the same stuff where they are chucking up a bunch of threes or they're not taking the best shots. We see it in the playoffs. Yeah. Mitchell's coming in taking some dumb shots. He just does it. I love Mitchell as a player, but some of his shot selection gets pretty questionable. You know what I mean?
It's mainly kind of a positive and negative effect. When you're a great young player like he is, when you make shots, tough shots, you fall in love, you're like, oh, I can make this all the time. It doesn't work like you're not going to make them every single time. So sometimes you just got to get the easiest shot you can. Take what the defense gives you. Don't bail them out by, just bailing them out basically. Yeah. Don't just shoot a 30-foot three just because you're feeling good all the time. I don't know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And there are times where I feel like you always know when a dude needs to carry a team. You all know when it's that time where you're like, all right, get the ball to your best player, make it happen. There were times in the playoffs where Mitchell was thinking he needed to carry where he didn't need to carry. You know what I'm saying?
He could have used the act like he could have just let the offense flow. It was times with the Clippers when they gave up that 25-point lead. Yeah. They were still playing the same way when they were up in terms of like they let their foot off the gas and they were really taking dumb shots.
Yeah.
Like you up 25 points, why are you still like just shooting crazy threes when they're giving you the drive? You're not even you can at least got some foul calls, slow the game down at least.
I will say too, they did get good looks. You know what I mean? I think a lot of that. I think that's also what happened in Houston. They took a lot, but sometimes when you're given the great 3-point shooting teams know how to get great 3-point shooting shots, great 3-point shots. Utah right now is leading in 3-point attempts. They're leading also, or they're one of the leaders in 3-point field goal percentage. That tells me you're getting good shots. So that kind of balances it out. If you're getting good shots. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'll say this though. I hope, he's a Mizzou alum, Jordan Clarkson. A lot of people forget about him. But he took some dumb shots along with Donovan Mitchell in that game. Like he was just chucking some excuse my language, chucking some shit up, bro. Like,
he's an unsung issue with this team too. I love his game, but he's inefficient too. That boy's like 30. He may be 39% right now. Last time I checked, I got to go back and look at the numbers.
But look how many he shoots though. He shoots a lot. He really shoots a lot.
Shot selection is pretty questionable at times. And I think that's one part of the issue. Also there's a defensive thing, and y'all know what that's going to end up turning into. My boy Rudy Gobert, once again, Rudy Gobert is weird because here's the thing. When people call Rudy Gobert an overrated defender, right? We've had this debate millions of times.
Yeah.
When people call him an overrated defender, I see two things. One, it's hard to say he's overrated if you took him out of the lineup. Part of their identity is their defense. If you took him out of that lineup, they lose that identity. You know what I mean? Now, I get it. When you get into the playoffs, his versatility is in question. He's not great. Well, he improved as a switch defender, but then last year the thing was but last year wasn't much that they were hunting him in switch situations because he did a good job defending switches. He actually had a game-winning block one game in the playoffs. People forget that. Like it may have been game one. So he's good switching on pick and rolls. The issue last year was the inability to close out. We were asking him to be a closeout defender. Remember that? And Terrence Mann was getting a bunch of open looks.
But to me, that's okay. That's somewhat on him. But to me, that's like somewhat on a coach fault too. Like, why are you just sitting there? I'll blame Rudy Gobert for that. But he's 7 foot. Like I don't expect all the time. But as a coach, you see it keeps happening. What are you doing?
Yeah. Most of that was not his fault, dude. Most of the more than half of that was Quinn Snyder's fault. Because it was times down the stretch where there is no way he should have been in that game guarding who
he was called because he's the shot blocker of the team. He was caught in between on like more than half of those on what to do. If you see he can't do anything about it because the player he is and he's 7 feet and he can't move obviously like forward and guard, take him out of the game.
Yeah. Honestly. And people take that and say, well, if he was a good enough defender, then he'd be able to defend that. Okay, but then how about this? How about this argument? With Dwight Howard ain't closing out on nobody. So if will we start calling Dwight Howard an overrated defender if he was in that same position? People wouldn't. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where that.
Yeah. I just think out of all the great Defensive Player of the Year award winners, I think he struggles the most going just outside of the paint. That's my problem. I can't consistently trust him to guard. I know it's much of an ask, but when you win Defensive Player of the Year, I'm expecting a lot out of you, whether it's that defending the paint or even switching at times. Because a lot of Defensive Player of the Year, even though Anthony Davis didn't win one, he can switch. I don't know this year. So matter of fact, I ain't even go use
Giannis is a good example.
Giannis can switch. Giannis can switch out and do it. I think Dwight Howard at a point in time he could do better than Rudy Gobert does at times.
That's an argument, bro.
You don't think he can?
Because I don't know. If I feel like Dwight would. First of all, I feel like Dwight is a worse at the best. Back when Dwight was in his prime, he wasn't asked to be a switch defender. But I feel like if you put Rudy Gobert or Dwight in Rudy Gobert's shoes, he'd be worse off defensively. Because I do think Rudy Gobert has gotten better as a switch defender. That's one thing he's improved on, and I think he showed it last year. People were not hunting him out on switches as much as they did previously. You know what I'm saying? It was an issue in the bubble and all of that, but last year people weren't hunting him as much. So
I see what you're saying, because if you take them off the team, that destroys their ways, like their identity is a defensive team. That definitely is true. But I just feel like, I don't know, when you're a Defensive Player of the Year, I expect a lot out of you. That means you're the best defensive player that year, and I just don't see that.
You don't see
Simmons. I thought Ben Simmons should have won it, honestly, last year.
Okay.
That was just me.
Yeah, but it was neck and neck between those two.
It was close, but I like seeing dudes. I know he's a shot blocker. Obviously he's 7 feet, but I like seeing dudes that can go out to the 3-point line and defend too. That's just if you can't do that, that does to me you're not the best defensive player in the league.
But that's the thing last season is that he did do that better. That's literally why people gave it to him.
He did it better, but he didn't do it like at a clip where you like, oh, he can do it. Oh.
But who's asking their center to sit there and guard guards all the time? Now there are some like Nick Claxton. You put him on Trae Young. Like I remember Friday they put him on Trae Young a lot. Okay, maybe, but generally speaking, like I said, if you ask Dwight Howard or some of the other historically Defensive Player of the Year has been a big man award. If we took some of these dudes who won it and then asked them to do that exact thing that you just said, they wouldn't look as good. Does that mean they're overrated defenders?
It's a lot of dudes, past defensive players that are like big man that wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able.
Only one that can really do it great to me is Giannis.
Giannis is really. I've seen him. I think Giannis is mobile enough where he can really get around and cause some disruption.
Yeah,
Hakeem.
You think Ben Wallace could do it? He probably.
I had to see it.
They'll get scared of Ben Wallace. Just give him the ball.
They wouldn't get. Oh, yeah, I think they have a tough time getting past Ben Wallace. I think they would.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's I really all I want to do is just set you up for that Rudy Gobert debate because I want us to have it.
I know.
But I mean, a lot of it is going to rely on that. And you mentioned that Blake mentioned it was Quinn Snyder's fault, and then and also some of it too was they didn't have great small ball defensive lineups last year. Now they have the ability to do it. We haven't seen much of it. We haven't seen much floor time between Rudy Gay and Eric Pascal, which I thought was going to be their small ball defensive lineup. We haven't seen it a ton. Actually, I think Pascal's his minutes may have gone down a little bit since Gay's been back in the lineup, and Rudy Gay's been great, but I think his minutes have kind of gone down. But I want to see that. I want to see that this team can kind of deploy some small ball lineups on the defensive end. And I think that alone is going to help them maybe get over the hump. They have the personnel to do it now where last season they didn't, so all they have to do at this point is kind of execute on that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on it.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. It might be too much to ask if you're a center to just go out there but it's just the fact I wouldn't ask that you're just the defensive player of the year. When you say defensive player of the year, I just think you're the ultimate defender. That's just me. Because I don't know. Because I feel like Draymond can do pretty well at doing both. He can block some shots and he can go out there. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I would have chose Ben Simmons. Yeah. The one thing about Ben Simmons, that boy can get that steal.
He gave Gobert, I think, 40 and 10. Last season or the season before.
Yeah, that felt like that was about eternity ago, though.
They did. I don't remember that. And maybe the last time we see him drop 40 in about 5 years, man. Yeah. May just be.